Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Matt Payne. Matt Payne is the founder of KetoCoach and FastCoach. After living in China and working as writer for the Wall Street Journal, Matt is fluent in Mandarin Chinese. Matt put his Mandarin skills to use while getting into the medical device industry and eventually overseeing distribution channels for Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Australia. During this time, Matt learned the ins and outs of the medical device business until he founded KetoCoach in 2018. To date, KetoCoach and FastCoach have a combined 70,000 user, and FastCoach was featured as one of the top 150 apps in the App Store. Well, good afternoon, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. This is great to hear. And again, we have another entrepreneur that has traversed the globe and has started your own company. But the main thing is we're going to talk a little bit about technology as well, as you obviously leverage that for your app. So Matt, let's jump into the questions here. Let's talk about your career. You've got quite the career in healthcare as a journalist and now the founder of KetoCoach and FastCoach. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
Yeah, I think a couple things. There's in our office, we have in giant letters, I think it was a quote from Tony Robbins, that complexity is the enemy of execution. And, I find that to be true in, many different ways in life and in business, especially, there's always a million reasons why you can't do something or why you shouldn't do something. And it's a lot of times finding the reason that you can do something and just executing on it and not making it too complicated. So I think that's really one of our biggest, strengths, and something that I've tried to bring to business and, to grow our company, is just do it, just executing, working hard and making dreams happen.
That's awesome. And I appreciate the share because, as you know, a lot of people listen to the show and they want to get some insights, and maybe they're starting out as an entrepreneur. So this is always helpful for somebody. So Matt, let's talk about the pandemic now that it's starting to lift, and hopefully we'll go back to some normalcy. But what are your plans for growth going forward? And will it be any different than the last 14 months?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. So the pandemic has changed a lot of things, as everyone knows. And I think we're still going to be seeing the ramifications of the pandemic for, the next 10 years. I think the pandemic accelerated a lot of trends that were already existing in the market. It's really caused a paradigm shift in how we're discussing finance, how we're discussing education. And one of the big things is how the pandemic impacted healthcare. We saw, during the pandemic, initially, everything dropped and, our sales dropped and everyone was uncertain. But the focus on health, starting in about May of last year, really, really ramped up. And so, there's a lot of changes and a lot of disruption in the healthcare space that I see on the horizon. Frankly, that's needed because a lot of times our healthcare system is broken and it's not helping the people it needs to help. It's complicated. It's confusing for people. And so, our mission and our job in the next 14 months and the next year is different than it was, a year ago, very different than it was a year ago today. And so that's why, we've been, for the first time raising money and trying to get a new way of thinking about healthcare going, especially when it comes to health and disease management.
Great. I appreciate what you're all doing to improve the healthcare of many people, especially during the pandemic. As you know, and we talked about this, a lot of people being at home, being inactive, essentially, is not healthy. And we do need to do some things to change the way we live today. And Matt, let's talk a little bit about your platform. Are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies within your business? If not, is there a cool tool or app that you might use that you found helpful?
That's a great question. So, beyond the product sort of features itself and what we're doing in the chemistry within the product, which makes ours stable, beyond sort of what we're coding with, and we write our software with React Native, which has given us a lot of flexibility to build out exactly what we want to build out. I think the biggest emerging technology that we're using is our community. And it sounds counterintuitive and maybe a little bit out there, but it's so true that, I think for the past 100 years since radio broadcasts and television broadcasts, the idea of a brand was, marketing was always to speak to the customer. And now I think with the way that the world has changed, and especially during the pandemic, there's such a need for people to connect with the community. And so, what we're doing and the platform that we're building is really focused on that community and being near each other, even if we're far away.
That's awesome. And I do love what you'd mentioned earlier about the acceleration of platforms, trends, things that were already existing, but obviously the pandemic has really, moved the needle on this. So I appreciate your share and how you're helping others. Matt, let's talk last question a little bit about your career. Could you share something from your career experience that might be helpful for those looking to grow their career in healthcare or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the advice that I could give to somebody who's looking to grow their career in healthcare and in entrepreneurship is to not be afraid of failure. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Not be worried about, what's going to happen if, it doesn't work out. Obviously people are at different points in their lives, but really just like going for it and not being afraid to, to dream big and not being afraid, not being overwhelmed by the amount of work or, thinking you're not qualified or thinking, there's, it's not for you. Just like being confident, taking the first step, I think is super important. And, I think that, also like just being as genuine as you can be to yourself, in terms of what your skill sets are, I think that's really, really important.
That's awesome. I do certainly appreciate the share on that. And again, as I'd mentioned, there are a lot of people and guests that listen in that certainly are in the same place you are or starting out in their entrepreneurship journey. So do appreciate that. And Matt, it was a pleasure having you on today. I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye for now.